guys, it's October 1st and it's time once again for the excitement, the wonder, the thrill of my monthly manga haul. And this month, the size of it is, to my mind at least, a lot more reasonable than the last couple months have been. I've got 11 books here, a couple of them used, but the vast majority are new Sustain the Industry books, and then I also got one anime title, which I'll talk about at the end. So, yeah, without further ado, we'll start with the Sustain the Industry titles. And we're starting that with Kodansha. The first book that I got, and I will say I got most of these, just today, literally, an hour ago. I pre-order a lot from Right Stuff, so usually they'll send me just sort of a bulk package of a bunch of stuff, once a month or so, and I just got that today, so I haven't had the chance to read most of these, because I just got them, but yeah. So the first one is Sweetness and Lightning, Volume 2. I absolutely love this cover, it's so cute! This is a really sweet food manga about a single father who can't cook, and he feels bad that he can't make good food for his little daughter here. So he decides to start doing sort of these fun little cooking nights with one of his high school students whose mother owns a restaurant. They meet up at her restaurant and they just sort of learn to cook together, and he's just so thrilled to see his little daughter finally happy with the stuff he makes, and it's just really sweet and pure and adorable. And also the recipes are refreshingly simple, so it's really easy to sort of just cook right along with them, which I really appreciate. Learned how to make a pretty solid Hamburg steak and gratin from this, so really like the volumes. It looks like I've got a little gunk on here, which is kind of a shame, but it shouldn't be too much trouble to get off. Look at that. That's terrible. Came like that. That is the downside to these matte covers, but on the other hand, I love how they feel, so. The next title that I got is actually a first volume, which is actually one I've been waiting for quite a while, and that is Volume 1 of Welcome to the Ballroom by Tomo Takeuchi. This is also from Kodansha. It's a new sports manga, at least new here, about ballroom dancing, and the cover is very striking, but I'm very interested in this because ballroom dancing is super cool. The art inside is really neat and intense. So I'm very excited to read this. Obviously I haven't gotten the chance to do so yet. But great to have a new sports series about such a unique subject. Next, from Seven Seas, I finally went ahead and got Volume 2 of Gakuen Polizi by Milk Morinaga. This completes the series, which is only 2 volumes long, so now I'll be able to go ahead and read this. This is the last volume I needed in order to have everything that has been released from Milk Morinaga in English, so I'm very happy to have it. Should be cute. I love Milk Morinaga's Yuri titles. The next book I got is from Vertical, and this is Volume 3 of Devil's Line. And I like this character on the cover, even though I thought I was gonna hate him. And he kind of reminded me of Juzo from Tokyo Ghoul in that way, in that he's sort of this eccentric, childish type of character who shows up, being all cracking jokes and being psychotic and stuff. And I was like, oh great, one of these. And then ended up really liking him, which Juzo is my baby, my precious son. So, and I thought I was gonna hate him at first, so kind of a similarity there, but this has been a pretty entertaining series so far. I really like vampires, so if you like vampires, I would recommend checking this out. It's sort of an action horror romance title. It does focus more on the romance than something like Tokyo Ghoul, but I think the romance is sweet so far. I'd like to see more development for both of the main characters, though, especially the girl. So hopefully this volume continues the same as the last two. The next book I got is Goodnight Poon Poon, Volume 3. I should be showing the backs, huh? So, I actually haven't read Volume 2 yet of this, but having read Volume 1, I knew I was going to like it enough to continue, and I also knew that this is a series I have to be in a very specific mood to enjoy reading it, so I haven't been in that mood lately, which is probably a good thing. So, I think I'm going to hold off on this until I get into, like, a mood where I want to read it. But in the meantime, I'll keep collecting it. I like that we're seeing, like, an image of Poon Poon emerge on the spines. That's gonna look nice on the shelves once it, is completed. The next series is from Viz, and this is Volume 2 of Yona of the Dawn. Yeah, I believe this is a little early for me to receive this, but that's cool. So this, I love the anime, so I'm very happy to be collecting the manga, you know, sort of a very retro feeling, shoujo fantasy series with a strong, you know, female heroine, and, you know, her harem of dashing boys, and sort of a pseudo-Korean setting, and, yeah, it's great. You know, it feels like something straight out of the 90s, like Basara or Fushigi Yugi or something, which I appreciate. That's one of my favorite genres in all manga, so this is a great title for me, but I'd really recommend it to anybody, especially if you're, like, looking to get into shoujo, because there's a little bit of romance in it, but primarily it is focused on action and adventure and fantasy. The next title, I think the last three, yeah, are all from Yen Press. The first one is very exciting. I've been waiting forever for this, and I think a lot of other people have too. But this is finally Volume 8 of A Bride Story. I cannot wait to read this. It is going to be following this girl who is from Karluk's clan family, and her name is Paria, and she's been sort of in the background in all of the other Amir and Karluk books, but now we get to see her sort of marriage story, which I'm eager to see because she's such a sweet girl. And there's bound to be a lot of embroidery in here because that's kind of what she's into. And I just can't wait to get more of this series. The art is incredible and the story is just so charming. And has such an interesting setting along the Silk Road in the 19th century. Wow. Can you tell I've been working since 6 a.m.? Because that happened. The next one I got is one that I did read. And this is Volume 4 of Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. I love this picture on the back that says she's the heroine, he's the main character, and over Mikorin it just says technically. I don't know, it's just funny. Mikorin's my beautiful daughter, so. But this continues to be a really funny series. We're finally starting to get some content that was not covered in the anime. Most notably, we're introduced to Nozaki's little brother, Mayu, who I super, like, hardcore ship with Mikorin. Just, so, that's important to me. But, he's really entertaining so far, and this actually includes sort of a, sequel to perhaps the most famous gag from the anime, which is when Nozaki and Mikorin play a dating sim, which, like, I'm laughing just thinking about it. That's one of my favorite sequences. But this one includes a sequel with Nozaki, Waka, and Hori playing an otome game, so a dating sim aimed at women. It's hilarious and super accurate as someone who's played more than my fair share of otome games. So yeah, highly recommend this series, even though, you know, it is like a 4-coma. It does have more of a story to it than most 4-coma series, I find. You definitely get a really deep affection for the characters after reading it, and if you like things like Horimiya, or on High School Host Club, then I would recommend this. And the last Sustain the Industry title that isn't an anime that I got is a light novel, and this is from Yen On. So Yen Press's light novel line, and that is the second Bakano light novel, the 1931 The Grand Punk Railroad Local. So this covers the events of the 1931 arc of the anime, which is a lot of people's favorites, including mine, even though I have a lot of affection for 1930. I just started this book, but literally yesterday I just finished the 1930 book. I'd probably have it down here. Yeah. This is my nightstand where I keep the books I'm reading. This is the first novel, and I just finished it yesterday, and I really love the translations that Yen is providing for this. You really get a sense for Narita as a writer. And I do think that that's not gonna go back, whatever. He's a better writer than, like, the quality of the writing is better than you typically see from light novels. And he definitely has more of a distinctive style than you usually see. He's got a strong focus on sort of short, snappy sentences and, like, really visceral details, along with a lot of use of onomatopoeia. There's a lot of, like, snap and squish and crunch in this series. But yeah, I don't want to give away spoilers, so I'll just read the blurb on the back. America, New York, the year 1931. The setting, the transcontinental express train known as the Flying Pussyfoot. Aboard the train are a gang aiming to make some extra cash, a group of revolutionary terrorists trying to recapture their leader, and a pair of thieves looking to meet up with an old friend in New York City. But drunk on the excitement of their departure, none of them are prepared for what awaits them on the rails. Got my bookmark in there. But basically we have these three factions. The black suits, who are terrorists looking to reclaim their leader Huey. The white suits, who are mobsters from Chicago, who are claiming to be here for ransom, but mostly they're just under the supervision of this Looney Tune, Lad Russo, who just wants to kill a bunch of people and get beautiful red blood all over his pristine white suit. And finally, we have what they call the ragtag suits. This is just a little delinquent group of bootleggers who are there to steal some cargo, but may end up being the heroes of this whole terrible tragedy aboard the Flying Pussyfoot. And those are the perspectives we get in this book. The next book, the Express chapter, will be the same events, but from different perspectives. Actually, these perspectives. And, yeah, obviously I know what happens, but the 1930 book definitely gave me some insight into the characters that I didn't get from the anime, such as, especially Ennis. I really appreciated getting into her head, so definitely can't wait to read the book. I love Bakano. Watch Bakano. Read Bakano. Please. It's so good. It's like a gangster flick, but more lighthearted. It's It's not like 91 days or something. And for used pickups, it's just 2 books, but they're quite exciting to me. The first one is the 11th and final volume of Happy Mania by Moyoko Anno, which completes the series for me. So now I'm going to go ahead and read through all of it, and I'm excited because I love Moyoko Anno and I love her Josei series. It's always nice to read like a more mature romance title about adult characters in adult situations. And finally, most excitingly to me, because I'm a huge Year 24 geek, is I finally got my hands on A Prime by Moto Hagio, which is the last book I needed to have everything of Hagio's that's been released in English. I still don't have the book for shoujo stories, but I do have her story from that, which is They Were 11 in comic book issues, so I have now read everything of Hagio's that's been released in English. And this is 3 short stories, A Prime, Quatre Quarts, and X plus Y. And they're basically tied together. They're sci-fi short stories that take place far in the future, and they're tied together by a mysterious genetically engineered race called the Unicorns. And I really enjoyed this book a lot. I think my favorite story was X plus Y because of just the my investment in the characters in that one, and just some stunning imagery of space and Saturn especially. And also, you know, having an intersex protagonist is kind of cool. And then I also enjoyed the first story, which has some... It's about clones. Basically, we're introduced to the clone of a unicorn girl named Adelaide, who is going back to... Was it? Where are they? They're like... Jupiter or something? Well, they're in space somewhere. And she's going back to meet with her crew since the original has died, and she's going to replace her original. Basically everyone, since it's a dangerous mission, has to upload their memories onto a server in case they die, so that they can be replaced by a clone who is implanted with the same memories, and obviously the same genetic data. So someone who looks the same, has the same memories, and essentially the same personality. So the question there is, you know, when she meets her lover, what is he supposed to think? You know, is she Adelaide? Is she the person that her original was, or is she somebody new? Is she even human? What does that mean? If she doesn't have any memories of her own that are real, is she a real person? And it really deals with that, and it's super interesting and made me think. The second one, Quatre Quarts, it was a fun read, but I was a little disappointed in it because it was kind of cliche. I felt like I had read similar stories before, particularly from, like, Keiko Takemiya, who is also a member of Year 24, so... But the other 2 stories make this, like, well worth the buy. If you can find it for less than, like, $70. I actually overpaid for this. The, list price is $15.95. I got it for about $20, which, normally I wouldn't do, but this is, like, the one book I would do that for, so whatever. And then that's it for all of my manga this month, but I did get an anime because Right Stuff all of a sudden had a Funimation sale right after I mentioned wanting to get this, so I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and grab it. And that is I believe this is the limited edition of Blood Blockade Battlefront, with the, this is the, what, Blu-rays? Yeah, here's the Blu-rays. I got Zap there. I like the art from Naitao. I've always liked his style, so there's the inside. And this is a really fun series. Basically it takes place in a post-apocalyptic version of... This was a cool picture. A post-apocalyptic version of New York called Hell Salem's Lot, which basically has been ransacked. Look at Sonic! After, like, a portal opened up in the middle of the city to the Altar World, which is, like, the demon world. And now Hell Salem's Lot is, like, this weird melting pot of, like, humans and Altar Worlders living together, and there's, like, this constant looming fear that there might be another, like, essentially sinkhole where the Altar World will open up again, and just, like, collapse everything. So we have casters who are trying to prevent that, but we also have this group called Libra, who are basically like the X-Men, and take care of issues related to the Altar World where things have gone awry. Basically, like, bad Altar Worlders. And their primary objective is actually to fight these vampires known as the Elder 13. And that's sort of the story we get in these 13 episodes. We focus on this boy here, named Leonardo Watch, who possesses the all-seeing eyes of the gods, and sort of unwittingly ends up joining Libra. He's a very ordinary boy, you see. And he meets a girl named White, who claims to be a ghost, and basically she has an unknown involvement with the Elder 13, as well as a twin brother named Black. And it was one of my favorite series of last year. It's funny, it's action-packed, it's full of heart, and it's like the perfect blend of two of my favorite creator styles, which is the mangaka Yasuhiro Naito, who did the original manga, and the director of the anime, Rie Matsumoto, who is one of my favorite up-and-coming directors, and a woman, which is nice. She also directed Kyoso Giga, and a Heartcatch Precure movie, but I haven't seen that. I've seen Kyoso Giga, though, and she's incredibly talented and has a lot of interesting things to say, particularly about, like, dysfunctional families. That seems to be her go-to. Anything with Black and White in this series is her edition, which you can totally see if you're familiar with her. But yeah, I love this series, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. I got the limited edition just because I really liked the cover a lot better on this one than on the normal one. But if you don't care about that, I would recommend going for the standard edition, because this doesn't add anything except the different cover and, like, some cheap postcards that are literally just screenshots from the show. So you'd be better off just printing out the screenshots yourself. They're not even on, like, cardstock, they're just, like, flimsy ad paper. So don't bother unless you're like me and you're like, that's a really cool picture of Libra. Because I make questionable decisions like that. So, that is... Let's see if I can get this into one pile. Yeah. All of the manga and anime that I bought for the month of September. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next month.